Uh, Welcome to the third session of this fifth module. In the previous session, we have discussed two of the important operations that can be performed on the lathe. One is being the turning operation, and the other one is being the facing operation. In the turning operations, what happens? The diameter of the workpiece, a cylindrical workpiece, is being reduced, whereas in the facing, the overall length of the workpiece is being reduced. No, in turning what happens, a limited amount of depth of cut is been given and it will be moved along the x-axis. That means whatever we are just moving towards the material that we call it as a z, and whatever the material that we are moving in along the periphery or along the circumference of the workpiece, that we call it as an x-axis. Okay, now what happens in the turning operations, a limited depth of cut is being given with the tool, a limited depth of cut, and then it will be moved along the circumference in order to reduce the diameter of the workpiece. Is it clear? So that is the one advantage over here. Now the material that since it is a symmetrically, it will be rotating with faster. Something like your pencil, where a fixed tool will be there. If you keep rotating the pencil, the chip will be removed continuously. The same thing will happen over here also. When we give a depth of cut and a minimum depth of cut, and we will remove it, how much ever the diameter we have to reduce it. Say for example, the 12 meters of the 12 diameter of a bar element is there, I want to make it 8, then I will remove it 2, so that 2 on this side and 2 on this side, it becomes to be the 4 mm. So we will give a depth of cut around 2 mm and we will remove it. Is it clear? So what happens? It will be reduced to the 8 mm diameter. Then you cannot give up to that depth because the tool will be holded in a check. So that what happens? We will remove the depth of cut and we will interchange. We will keep the workpiece in the other direction. Then we will give the same depth of cut and we will make it. So such kind of operations, what we call it as turning operations, where the diameter of the cylindrical bar or a workpiece will be reduced. When it comes to the facing operations, during the facing operations, what happens? Only the depth of cut will be given directly like this. It can be given in two ways. First thing is, if this is a workpiece, we will give the depth of cut like this, so that what happens? The workpiece will be removed. That means the material will be removed in order to reduce the overall length. Okay, now it can give from the center, we can take it towards outside, and even from the outside also we can give it. So basically, in normal feeding, we always give the feed from outside, from the surface towards the inner surface. And even, my dear friends, we will not give more element to be removed. We will gradually, we will keep removing the material. Is it clear? So here in the facing operations, because it will be done on the outside face, so we always call it as a facing operations, wherein the overall length will be reduced for a cylindrical workpiece. Now, knurling is one of the operations wherein which, before I just talked about the knurling is been always done in order to give an impression. Say, for example, now you have a pen or you have something like a element or any bar element. Oh, this is a very nice finish. If I want to hold it here, I will not get a proper grip. I will not get a proper grip, isn't it? So in order to have a grip, I should make this surface to hold more proper grip. How can I make this more proper grip? It is by giving an impression onto that particular element. So that can be done with the knurling operation. Now here, knurling is one of the most beautiful operations wherein which we are not removing any material. That means it's a machining operation only, but still we are not removing any material in this knurling operations. But what we are doing it is, knurling is can be it is just a process of impressing a diamond shape. It is something like a diamond shape, like cross shaped like this. A diamond shape impression or a straight or line pattern, different shapes can be achieved into onto the surface of a workpiece. by using specially shaped hardened metal wheels. Hardened metal wheels will be used when which a proper shape will be given. It has been fed against to this rotating workpiece. Metal sheets which improves its appearance and to provide a better gripping surfaces. In order to get a better grip, this is what is being used. Is it clear? Typically, it conducted on the lathe, whereby the pattern of straight, angled, and crossed lines can be achieved. Is it clear? If you ask me what is the use of this knurling, it is only once again in order to provide a good gripping uh, surfaces. The operation is been produced by giving out indentations on a part of the workpiece. It is not throughout the workpiece, only one particular part it will be fed. Then if you want to extend it, the tool has to remove and it has to be continued. It cannot be moved along the speed, along the depth, along the length of the workpiece. The knurling also allows hands or fingers to get a better grip. Say for example, if you might have seen it, any doors like almirah doors or whatever it may be, if you want to open it and close it, you always expect some grip to be there. Is it clear? To get a grip on a nulled object or a gripped object, that can be would be provided by the originally smooth and metal surfaces. So that is what we call it as the knurling. Basically, this knurl means a small protuberance or exuberance, or it can also be called as a knob or a series of small ridges and beds that can be provided over here. Now, as the figure itself indicates, as usual, this is a spindle, and then there will be a chuck, and in the chuck, now if you can see this, this is a four-jaw chuck. One, two, three, and the other chuck will be there on the other side, which we cannot make see this. Four-jaw chuck will be there because we are going to make an indentation over here, and we will rotate this with the speed. Now, when it comes to the facing and turning, the speed of the workpiece is being more compared to the knurling operation. In the knurling operations, the speed will be very much minimum. If 154 RPM is minimum, then the 150 RPM will be used. If it is a 60 or 100, it will be maintained with a minimum speed. A minimum speed of workpiece will be used in order to make the knurling operations. As you can see this, it is being rotated and then the feed will be given. Okay, this is the feed is nothing but in the left side towards the horizontal one, whereas the depth is always towards the depth of the cut. Okay, now you can see this very clearly. Feed is in left direction and depth is in perpendicular directions. Now we are giving only the depth, not the feed. Is it clear? Now, as I have already, while talking about the different parts of a lathe, I have also discussed one of the important role of the tailstock. Tailstock will always give a better support. Now, you just common sense, a common sense. Say, for example, I want to make an impression over here, or I want to make an impression over here. If your four-jaw chuck is here and if it is length is this much, if you want to make it an impression over here, if I push this, what happens? It just bends like this. So what happens? I will give an opposite support like this. Then I will apply the load over here, knurling. So this support is being given by a tailstock center from the dead end center. So this tailstock center or dead end center will support the obbling of the workpiece. Then there will be a special tool is there for this knurling operation, when which this knurling operation will be a multi-point cutting tool. It is not a single point cutting tool, and it is only an impression. It just makes an impression. Making impression is not a difficult task for soft materials. For example, if you are handling with the steels, steel is a very hard material. It's a very tough material. If you want to make an impression onto the steel, it is very difficult. So the load that you are applying will be more dominant. Is it clear? Now here a knurling tool will also have an impression making tools that can be of different types. Say for example, if you can see this, the first one is a straight pattern. The tool will something like a wheel actually. It will be like a wheel. It rotates. It rotates also. As we just move it, it just rotates also. Is that clear? Now what happens? This can be a straight pattern as shown in the first figure, and there are two angular pattern. It may be in this left direction or it may be in the right direction. So there will be an angular pattern, and then the last fourth one. In most of the occasions, we always go with this diamond pattern, where you can see this cross marks and a V shape like structures. It is something like a V shape like structure. V and reverse V. If you join it, we call it as a diamond shape. That can be given with this diamond pattern knurling tool. Now it will be fixed in the tool post as usual, and the depth will be given. The depth will not be given so severely, but the load will be applied. The depth will be given in order to make the impressions equally toward the periphery. Is it clear? So that is what we call it as a knurling operations. Knurling is when defined as an operation performed on the lathe to generate serrated surfaces or a serrated or an impression surfaces on the workpiece by using a special tool called knurling tool, which impresses its pattern on the workpiece. A typical knurling tool consists of one upper roller and one lower roller on which the desired impression pattern can be seen. Okay. No, actually knurling tool there will be two circles actually. One roller over here and the other roller will be here. It's something like two wheels. In between this, the tool will be made like this. Can you able to see this? This is a one wheel and this is the other wheel. On both the wheels, they are rotatable and both the wheels will have an impression and the tool will hold like this. So since the tool is rotating like this, what happens? The impression from this and the impression from this both will exert onto this. That is the use that is the significance of this knurling tool. Consists of that is what an upper roller and one lower roller on which there is a impression pattern can be seen. The serration or an impression pattern can be straight lines or a diamond pattern or it can be an angular pattern also. Anything. Okay. So that is a knurling. And one more point is two important points. In knurling operations, we are not removing any material. That is the first thing. And the second thing is in the knurling operations, the speed which will be maintained will be very minimum in order to achieve the knurling effect effectively. Is it clear? Now, important one is the thread cutting. As the name itself indicates, the thread cutting is been extensively used in order to make threadings, in order to make the threadings onto the workpiece. As you can see it here, there are the threads, threading are there, where this threading plastic it is been molded actually. The same material, the same sort of threadings has to be made onto the hard and the tough steels. It is very difficult. So that can be done very easily using a lathe operations, using a lathe machine with a threading operations. Thread cutting. The thread is a helical ridge performed on a cylindrical or a conical rod. As you can see it here, and even in this thread cutting also, the material removed will be more. Since the material removed is more and it is removed uh, in a slower speed, the speed in the thread cutting will also be maintained very slow in order to avoid the damages in the threadings, because as you can see this threading will also have a up and down movements like something like a zigzag movement. That is what we call it as a crust and troughs. Is it clear? Craft and troughs will be maintained in the thread cuttings. So what happens in order to provide that with the equal pitch? Pitch is nothing but between two threads, whatever the distance is there. So that has to be maintained from same. So that what happens is The feed and the tool will be given simultaneously. The feed and depth will be given uh, major attention by giving with the slower speeds. It is cut on the lathe when a tool ground to the shape of the thread is moved longitudinally, whereas here it is a single point cutting tool, my dear friends, longitudinally with uniform linear motion, while the workpiece is rotating with a uniform speed as shown in the figure. By maintaining an appropriate gear ratio between the spindle on which the workpiece is mounted and the lead screw, which enables the tool to move longitudinally. Longitudinally means like this, longitudinally at the appropriate linear speed. The screw thread of the required pitch can be cut. The pointed tool shown in figure is employed to cut V threads. So, depending upon the nature of threads that we are looking out, the respective tool will be used. When square threads are to be cut, the tool is ground to the squared end. Is that clear? Now we have a dead center. Once again, it has been supporting element dead center, or it may be from the tail stock, which supports the workpieces, and these workpieces will get support from the both the headset from the live center as well as from the dead center, from the headstock and the tail stock, and the tool will be moved longitudinally, that means towards the left, with a perfect depth of cut, gives rise to a threadings on the particular place. It can also be restricted. We can also restrict, because for example, if you want threading from only between this 2 centimeters, we can make only threadings at that particular position of 2 centimeters. Is it clear? In most of the cases, these threadings are always made at the end of the material, isn't it? It is always made at the end. Even if you take a nut and bolt systems, it is always made at the end of that. Is it clear? So it has to be balanced well. Since the amount of material is being removed more over here continuously, the coolant is being required essentially. Is it clear? Now here what we are doing it is the spindle speed. That means after calculating this spindle speed with which makes the workpiece to rotate, and the feed, automatic feed of the tool should also be calculated, and it has to be fed in a uniform way. Is that clear? Now this is called as a threading operations. Now is an important one is a taper turning. Taper turning means it's a uh, it's a cone-like structure. Actually, it is a increase in diameter or decrease in diameter. So that is what we call it as a taper turning. Taper is being defined as uniform increase or decrease in diameter of a piece of work measured along the depth of the uh, along the along its length. Okay, now for example, you can take a pencil. The pencil tip is nothing but a tapered one. Have you seen a pencil? Pencil end, how it will be? Will it be a flat? No, we always make it as a conical one, where the diameter will be greater, and as you progress towards the tip, the diameter will be decreasing. This is called as a uniform decreasing or uniform increasing. So that is what we call it as a taper. And this conical surface on the workpieces is nothing but a taper or a taper turning. This can be made by the three methods, different ways. Actually, my difference you might have seen in a turning operations. You have observed a turning operations. In turning operations, what happens? A uniform removal of the material will take place. That means, if you have a workpiece like this, if it is around 12 mm, it can be reduced to 8 mm. Throughout the workpiece, it will reduce it to 8 mm. But a taper turning is different. We want 8 mm here, and it should reduce to 6 mm at the end of 4 mm. We want 8 mm over here and 5 mm over here. That means more diameter to smaller diameter. That means uniform decrease in diameter. That is what we expected. And this taper turning can be done with the different methods. One is taper turning by setting over the tailstock. Setting over the tailstock means in the headstock, whatever the workpiece that we are using it, we will offset or we will set over the tailstock, turning the taper turning by setting the tailstock itself, by moving the tailstock itself. And the second one is taper turning by swiveling the compound rest method. Compound rest or a tool post. Now, as we were discussing in the previous class, the parts, I have told you a compound rest, cross sidle, and then there will be a compound rest. Above the compound rest, there will be a tool post. During that, I have also discussed compound rest is a place above which a tool post will be there. And this compound rest can be rotated 360 degrees. It can be rotated, correct? So it can be rotated with a particular angle. So we can make into a particular angle and then we can feed it so that it will give a taper turning. How we calculate that particular angle is also given with an alpha. Okay. Then the third method is taper turning by a taper turning attachment will also be. Okay. Now actually in your syllabus all the three which is not there. Let us discuss the one which is there in your syllabus is nothing but taper turning by swiveling the compound rest method. In the compound tool rest method or swiveling, what do you mean by swiveling? It is something like this. Even when we talk about robots also, I will use this term swiveling. Swiveling is nothing but this is called as a swiveling. This is called as a swiveling. This is yaw. Is it clear? This is called as a swiveling. See this movement, what we call it as a swiveling. That means like this, left and right, left and right. It can be moved like that. Before I just talk about that, I have also given the calculations for that. Now here, this is once again a spindle and then the chuck will be there. In the chuck, we will have a jaw in which the workpiece is been fixed. For example, the workpiece has to be, uh, it is something like this in the back side and we want a sudden increase, that is a gradual increasing diameter what we are looking at. We want to reduce this diameter like this. Now, did you get an idea? What do you mean by a taper? So, in such kind of things, what we will do it is we will have a cross slide. No, above the cross slide, we have a compound rest. We have a carriage. Above the carriage, we have a cross slide. Above the carriage, we have a compound rest. Above the compound rest, we have a tool post. Is that clear? Now, you can see a granular, a circular graduations are there or granules are there. That is marking. Whatever you see it in your protractors. In the protractors, you will have a granulars, right? So such kind of granulars are there below the compound rest. The cross slide is fixed. The cross slide is fixed, whereas the compound rest is been tilted with an angle of alpha. Is been tilted with an angle of alpha that I'll show you how we calculate this alpha. So at this alpha, what happens? The cross slide, I'm sorry, the compound rest will be tilted. Above the compound rest, there is a tool post, and you can see this a single point cutting tool. Whatever the tool that we use it for turning, the same tool will be used over here. Is it clear? The same tool that is been used for turning processes that will be used over here. And this after it has been set with an angle of alpha, we will tilt it and we will just fix it. Alpha can be fit. How do we calculate that alpha will be different issue that I'll show you. If you can see this figure, it is something like a Pythagoras theorem. Okay, now I'll talk to that later. That alpha will be calculated by the calculations and the alpha particular angle can be tilted by tilting this compound rest method. And this alpha can be, the angle of tilting can be noticed very clearly on the granular or a scale or a graduations provided on a circular base of the compound rest. So we just, it is something like this, it is something like this compound rest. We will tilt it and then we will fix it. We will see the angle of this and we will fix it. Is it clear? So these graduations are the points will highlight the angle of tilt of an alpha. and then we will fix this compound rest method as usual with the tight one, and then we will make a feed from this point to this point, that is from the tip of the tool towards the increasing end of the diameter. The tool feed will be given like this. So all of a sudden we will not give it, we will gradually we will give the depth of cut. Gradually we will give the depth of cut, so that what happens, the cylindrical shape will be achieved. Was it clear? So that makes a taper turning by this swiveling the compound rest method. Compound rest is in tilted. That is what we call it as uh, the swiveling the compound rest method. We will fix it over here. Then the handle will be moved for the cross slide, so that what happens, it keeps moving the material. Its only thing is, even the turning operation, how we feed it, right? Same way, only thing is we will tilt it. Then we will keep giving the feedings. The feed or depth of cut will be given like this, so that what happens, the material will be removed as usual. Whatever the diameter is there, the smaller d, that is the minimum diameter in a tapered surface diameter. We will give it as a small d. So it will remove the material in an angle that makes the workpiece to get a desired taper. Is it clear? Now, if you see the second sketch at the right side, which is denoted by B, the capital D is nothing but the highest diameter or the larger diameter in a taper section. Taper section need not necessarily to be at the end. It is need not necessarily to be at the middle. It can be at any section. The taper can be made over here. The taper can be made here. The taper can be made here, and even the taper can also be made it here. At any section, the taper can be made. Now, what happens when we are just making the taper? We always should keep only three things in mind. One thing is, before the alpha, alpha is secondary. Angle of swiveling this compound dust is different. Three things that we have to notice: what is the maximum diameter, and what is the larger diameter in the tapered section. Only in the tapered section, not the workpiece. I'm not worried about workpiece over here. I'm just worried about only the larger diameter in the tapered section, that is given by capital D, and small d will tells us the minimum diameter or a smaller diameter in the tapered section. Is it clear? And then that is the second thing. And the third thing is, what is the length of tapering you require? Do you want the complete sample to be tapered, or do you want only the 2 mm? If the sample is 10 mm, do you want the complete 10 mm to be tapered? Then L will be 10 mm. If you want only the middle 4 mm to be tapered, then the length will be 4 mm. That means in this 4 mm, capital D, small d, and then the overall length. These three things will be taken. Okay, now after taking this taper portion of the workpiece, then we will go for the calculation of the alpha. Now you can see this here. Capital D is nothing but larger diameter of taper in mm, and smaller diameter in taper in mm. That will be there in mm only. And then length of the taper is given also in terms of mm. That is length of tapered section, tapering sections. Okay. Then alpha is nothing but half of taper angle in degrees. It is half of the angle. Okay. Tan alpha is equal to D minus D into uh, 2 into L. That is nothing but capital D. Capital D minus small d. See, please be careful here. If you provide this angle from the small end alpha, as you can see it in the figure A, also in the workpiece also I have made it as an alpha. That means capital D minus small d will give you this height. It is a Pythagoras theorem, right? Tan alpha is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. What is this opposite side? What is this opposite side? This length is given by capital D minus small d will give you an opposite side divided by an adjacent side. What is this adjacent side? It is nothing but 2 into L. 2 into L, because it is on both the sides. It is on the both the sides because it is symmetric in nature, my dear friends. So alpha will be given by tan inverse of capital D minus small d divided by 2 into L. Now, my dear friends, I always suggest you to go for mention this figure and even this angle is mandatory when you are being asked to explain the taper turning using Sewell the compound rest method. In this method, what happens? It is more suitable for workpieces which require steep taper for short lengths. The compound tool rest is swiveled to the required taper angle and then locked in the angular position. That is what I will fix the angle alpha and then I will lock it. The carriage is also locked at that position. For taper turning, the compound tool rest is moved linearly at an angle so that the cutting tool produces the tapered surface on the workpiece. This method is limited to short tapered lengths due to the limit moment of the compound tool rest. The angle at which the compound rest is to be sieved is calculated by the following figure. So by this also you can calculate by this expression. Then we will get an alpha and we will substitute here and we will fix the angular moment of this component and we will make the tapers. Okay, that ends this different operations of a on a lathe. Then we should go for the other operations machine tools.